Costa Rica safe? That is a question that a lot of people ask, and I'm going to tell you my perspective. Now, I have done other videos where I actually grabbed some statistics and stuff like that, but this video, I just want to be real. I just want to talk to you one-on-one. So, is Costa Rica safe? In all, I would say yes. Now, is it like utopian, like heaven, like nothing ever happens? No, I mean, we are on the planet Earth. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. There are problems everywhere, and there are good things and there are bad things. And so Costa Rica, like any other country, has its problem. But if you're thinking that people are running through the streets with AK-47, like you see in the movies, no, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Costa Rica is actually very peaceful. They don't have even the same gun laws that we have in the United States, where you're starting to see a rise in gun violence and different things like that. Costa Rica doesn't actually have that. Now, I'm not saying that people don't get shot, but normally that is from like, okay, somebody stealing money or drugs related, deep drugs kind of stuff is generally kind of stuff. But people robbing you point blank, not going to say it never happens, but that's not your typical thing. And so Costa Rica, if you're comparing it to, United States, and if you feel safe in the United States, and you watch the news and you're like, oh, people are getting shot at supermarkets and schools, that was my biggest fear with my kids. That actually happened in the good neighborhood. My kids were at school and there was a gunshot. Kids were playing with a gun. And so that type of thing doesn't happen. And unfortunately, there's been a peak in, violent crimes in the United States. And so when you hear crime, I don't want you to use that word in general, because the crime in Costa Rica is different from that in the United States. So when you hear, oh, there's a rise in crime in Costa Rica, and you picture, well, last week there was a violent gun attack, that must mean Costa Rica is worse. Well, no, it's different. The crime here is typically petty theft. I'll be honest, there's two things that, I've been here for 4 years, two things that have been stolen. One was a propane tank. I don't know how they made it over the wall, and so they made it over the wall. It was in a gated community at the time. Made it over the wall. I had cameras and all that security stuff, and they found a little dead zone. Got the propane tank. Now the propane tank was worth what? Let's say, I don't know, $30, $40. I can't remember. So it wasn't like a huge thing, but they stole that, and yeah, that was gone. The other thing that was stolen it was more of a pickpocket thing. The phone was lifted from a purse that was with a group of people, and so yeah, that was stolen. But other than that, no, I have not had any problems. I feel like Costa Rica is very safe. And again, if you watch other of my videos, I do talk a lot about Gracia. So this is Gracia Central. I can talk a little about other places, but I will keep it really focused to Gracia. Gracia for me is kind of like a small town or big feeling. I don't know if that's saying it. It's like kind of, it's big enough. Gracia is actually pretty big, but it gives you kind of that hometown feeling. So yeah, you can be safe. Now, I am wise that, I'm not walking around at 12 o'clock and it's not New Year. Why would I be out? I'm not doing, putting myself, I'm not trying to find the darkest spot or things like that. And I'm not going into any bad neighborhoods. I will say this about Costa Rica, it's like the United States in this respect. There are good areas and there are bad areas in just about every place. Yeah, there's some places that are worse, but really, the idea is that there are good places and bad places. And as long as you're not trying to go where the drug dealers are and become a drug dealer, and I'm really talking about the hard drugs, that type of stuff, you're not going to, if you're getting wise, just 99% of the time run into trouble. Run into crime, run into stuff. No, normally it's everyone is doing their thing, trying to live their life, trying to get by, maybe provide for their family, and that is the typical MO. Now, I will say that if you're in central San Jose, and there's red zones in San Jose. Again, back to the bad part of a particular place, because there's bad parts and probably in all the provinces. If you're in that particular place, then yeah, you're going to have to be more cautious. Normally, and this is not, go do this. Normally, in some of the bad places that are considered bad, like in the daytime, you're okay. But in the nighttime, that's when it's like, okay, no, we do not enter there. Even the locals are like, no, it's too late. We're not going. And so you want to be wise about it, because the bad spots are not like the movie where it's like, if you remember the old movies where they've taken over the whole, place, and you can't go there a day or night. No, it's more normally like, okay, yeah, during the day this is where the bus terminal, this is where the people go, but at night, so you want to be wise about that. Also, as far as safety, I don't make myself flashy, and honestly, I would not do this in New York City or in various other parts of the United States. I don't walk around with big gold chains and big diamond earrings and whatever, saying, hey, I got money. That makes you a target no matter where you are in the world. And so if you run into or cross a bad person or a thief or somebody who wants it bad enough, you're going to endanger yourself. But if you're just minding your business and you're not walking around flashy, like, oh, I am the man and I am the woman, you're probably going to be okay. And again, watching, where you go in particular places. The only other thing that you're going to really end up with is, again, just the petty theft. If you're sitting there and you're leaving your phone unattended, the camera unattended, the drone unattended, and especially if you're in a tourist spot, you got people coming in, you got different types of people coming and going. And so, yeah, that stuff may go missing. And so you want to be protective about your things, about leaving them around. Now, here in Gracia, I don't ever see anybody with drones, but I literally see locals walking around counting gobs of money, walking from the bank and with no fear, Don't do that. But that's the kind of sense. It's not like, oh my goodness, people are coming to rob me no matter where. No, it's the opposite of that. The living in Costa Rica and feeling safe, yeah, that is one thing that I no longer question. But when I first got here, I had the same mentality. A lot of you who post that question is it safe? I'm like, I don't know. Compared to the United States, they must have. No, it's different. It is definitely different. The other thing, little bonus, because maybe this is me as far as being safe. I was like, ain't safe with the animals? I don't know. Snakes on the plane just kept entering my mind. Oh my goodness, snakes are gonna jump out from the tree and they're gonna get me out. And some of you may laugh, but honestly, this was more my fear than anything else. It took me a long time to go on walks. Now I walk from like city to city for exercise, but I used to think, okay, if I'm walking down this street, if somebody says, we're gonna walk to this place, I'm like, okay, how many trees? Where are the snakes? Where are the bears coming from? Just completely like freaked out. Now, again, I'm in Gracia. I'm not in the rainforest. I'm not in a deep rainforest and things like that. And so if you're going to do that, be knowledgeable about, what animals like. I was told that snakes don't like wet stuff, so you're probably more safe. I also was told that snakes don't run after you like they do in the movies. Yeah, I actually haven't seen a snake, so I'm pretty good. Actually, that's not true. I've seen one snake one time, and it did not run after me. And so, yes, and that was only because I was in a community and we hadn't sprayed yet. So most of the times, the locals here are not like, oh, we love snakes and there are people here. There's a whole Facebook group to it. But most people are not like, oh, give us a snake, we're gonna pet. No, they're like, okay, we're gonna spray, and it's gonna keep, deter those particular animals from coming in. The only time I seen a snake was the time that we had mist. It wasn't necessarily poison, but the repellent had wore off, and then the snake came over. And honestly, the particular place I was at actually had like snow. Wow. It had sugar cane. And it had coffee, and so those type of things. I think the sugar cane more so than the coffee kind of attracts, a nice warm place for snakes, and so they came over. But other than that, no, the animals, again, in the city, you don't see insects. People are getting scared of insects. You spray, and you're safe. They're not going to attack you. Outside of the mosquitoes, which honestly I don't get that much anymore. Again, because I'm not in the place, surrounded by coffee fields and sugar cane. it doesn't, and so I don't find those wet places where mosquitoes breed as much. Now that I'm in the city a little bit more, I don't get those as much. But those are the only insects that kind of really come after you. Everything else you just either shoo out your house. I don't really even kill anything anymore. If there's a spider in the house, I take it outside. You know, if there's anything else, I'll take it outside. Ants are smart enough. They're like, oh, you don't have any food? They get real smart ants here. Anyway, so that is all I want to say is, yes, Costa Rica is safe, and I do recommend it. I do recommend doing your research first and checking out, you know, various different sites. And honestly, if you are stuck with just that fear, then actually signing up for my one-on-one program where I kind of help you get from point A to point B, starting with this. So, all right, I will talk to you later. I'll see you on the other side.